Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's town hall meeting. I don't know what happened, guys, but now I'm having to accept you into the town hall. So I got to get with my girl and have her fix that again because it's not supposed to be that way. So technology, it's always a problem. But anyway, how are you guys doing? So what I want to talk about tonight is the in-person thing, which has been the subject over the past 2 to 3 weeks. I've been talking about the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. That is another legal grounds that we can use to demand in-person services. Now, lately, districts are loosening up with in-person. They're starting to provide assessments in person now. And many school districts in California, at least, I don't know if this is true in other states, but they are starting to bring small groups of kids on IEPs into little kinds of, not a full day, like a full day in person at school, but they are providing in-person time on the school grounds to provide services and to provide some academic instruction. So they're starting to do it now, and they're like, it's like a kind of a transition into opening up schools. So that is happening, but the problem is that it's not happening for all kids. So there's still, the majority of kids on IEPs still are not receiving in-person teaching, academic instruction by a teacher or their services. So, the problem is that you, as a parent, you guys have to ask for it. Because if you don't ask for it, you're not going to be one of those, special people that get the in-person. I think because they're not rolling it out completely for everybody. So it's kind of like, if you don't know to ask for it or demand it and say, you have to give me in-person services or in-person instruction because I know the law and I know you're breaking the law, then those parents are going to, lose out, and those kids aren't going to get in-person services. So that's why I want to let all parents know you have the right to demand in-person services, and they have to give it to you now because they're breaking lots of laws now by not providing in-person services. And they can't keep saying that it's because of COVID, they can't do this, they can't do that. No, because we have case law now in which judges ruled that they must provide the in-person services and just follow the health guidelines. And that ADA also says they're discriminating against our kids, but because our kids cannot access an education, which is discrimination under ADA as well. And AB 98 also says that in-person services can be provided. That the AB 98 doesn't preclude districts from providing in-person services. Okay, so, and then on top of that, we also have the AB 98 that says service providers are essential workers. And that's been ever since March. Service providers are essential workers. So all this time they've been, lying to us and saying that they can't provide this. So if your school district tells you that, it's not, they're going to say no. That's their first response. Parents, always remember, their first response, and this isn't just for in-person services, this is for any of this stuff that we ask for that our kids need. Their first response is always going to be no. That's why it's so important that you're in the brigade, the monthly parent brigade with me, because that's what I teach all of my brigade parents. Okay, once they say no, that's just the beginning. That gives you then the opportunity to take the advocacy steps you need to take to hold them accountable to say yes. Because most parents don't know, what do I do after they say no? Most parents go, well, they said no. I asked them and they said no. They gave me a prior written notice and they said no. That doesn't mean no. They say no to everybody. They say no because they're hoping you're going to go away and say, oh, well, they said no. But that doesn't mean no. That just means, okay, mom, what are you going to do now? Do you know your rights? Do you know your parent rights? Do you know what the next advocacy step is for you to take under IDEA, that the parent rights that IDEA affords to you, and move forward with the appeal process to get to the yes? It's a test. They want to see how much you know, how informed you are as a parent advocate, and if you are going to appeal their no to get to the yes. But parents don't know that. It's not something that you just know because you have a special needs child. You have to learn this stuff, parents. You have to learn the steps to take, the advocacy steps afforded to you under IDEA to get to the yes. So it takes studying, it takes time commitment, and it takes work to be able to learn how to be a parent advocate so you can be successful in getting the needs of your child met. And that's what I teach all my parents in the Parent Brigade. I have lots of success seeing with lots of my parents now in the Parent Brigade. I just had a mom that was successful in getting compensatory services for speech for March, April, May, and June when schools were closed. She took all the steps. She's worked with me as a superhero brigade member and doing the consultations with me. And they awarded her compensatory education for March, April, May, and June. So don't believe it, parents, when they say, we're not going to give you compensatory education, because that's what they tell everyone. We're not going to do it. But once you go through the advocacy steps, she got to the yes. I have another Parent Brigade member that was just successful in because her son needs a specific kind of reading program because he is far behind in reading. He has dyslexia, and they were not providing him the supports and services and reading program that he needs to close the remedial gap on how far behind he is in reading. Very smart kid, but he's got dyslexia and he can't read. So they weren't going to give her the program that she wanted, which is an Orton Gillingham program, or another program such as Linda Mood Bell that is going to teach him how to read specifically for a child with dyslexia. And they said no. She joined the Parent Brigade. I've taken her through all the advocacy steps, and they awarded her a private non-public school for kids with dyslexia. And that is really a huge win because non-public schools cost between $50,000 and $75,000 a year. That's what the school districts pay for kids to go to non-public private schools. So these are some huge wins that we're seeing now happening in the Parent Brigade. And they didn't hire me to be their advocate to come in and fix it for them. They've learned how to advocate on their own to be the advocate for their child. They've learned, they've studied, they've listened to me, taken the steps I've trained them and coached them through each step that I teach in the Parent Brigade, and we're seeing huge successes. So I just wanted to, kind of encourage you parents, because yep, this is a crappy situation we're in. This virtual schooling isn't working for most of our kids, but you can be successful if you learn how to become an advocate for your child. So that's what I want to just follow up on tonight. And I'm going to open it up for any questions or any situations that you'd like me to ask me questions about that you might be experiencing now in virtual schooling. Who's got questions? I know you guys all must be experiencing some of these same situations.
Yeah, hi, Valerie.
Hi.
So it's Yvette here. I'm definitely having compounding situations, and I know how to advocate for my daughter, but yet there's still a wall that's being put up with the school. I had my IEP meeting and discussed with them the law and how they can't, and used all of the case law that you had last time. And they still used, obviously, the health and safety justification, COVID. And so then my daughter has literally received no Zoom. She's not joining Zoom. She's not getting on. She's autistic. And so it's been really hard for her to get on. So she's really receiving no education.
Yeah.
The second part of that is they're going to be opening mid-October
Mhm.
and to in-person, but my daughter has a medical note exemption to not wear the mask because she has, her sensory issues and just refuses to wear one. They said they are not going to be honoring those exemptions and that they will make the students wear them and they will try to implement strategies to try to get them to put it on. And if they refuse, which I already know my daughter will refuse, that they will just send them home. And I said, well, then that's another lost opportunity because she's not going to get school over there in person if they're going to send her home, and she's not getting school now through Zoom.
So that is a Americans with Disabilities Act violation. That's a 504 ADA violation, because ADA says that public schools must make sure that children have access to an education, and they are not providing access to your daughter's education in a virtual model, as well as on the school brick and mortar school grounds, because she can't wear a mask. So I would write right now a complaint to the ADA, which is the 504 violation, Title II.
Okay.
And then to go back to your first thing is, did you go through the steps to appeal that process? Because in an IEP meeting, they always say no. There's many steps after the IEP that you take to get to the yes.
No, because I haven't gone through any appeal process yet because we had our meeting. From there, they said, let's try to implement these alternative options. I already knew the option wasn't sufficient enough for her because it was essentially the same. We tried it for about a week. We're going on 2 weeks now, and she still hasn't gained access to her education. So now I'm at a point where I'm talking to them again, and we need to reconvene to find out what we're going to do now.
You don't need to reconvene. You already asked for it formally in an IEP meeting. When you ask for something formally in an IEP meeting, they must provide you with a prior written notice, whether they're going to approve it or they're going to deny it. Then you have your starting point. Once you get that denial and the PWN, that's where now you have the power. So then after you get that PWN, then you write a partial agreement to your IEP, which identifies all the things that they didn't approve for you, which they must approve for you according to the law. And then you cite all the laws that they're breaking. And then that's a partial agreement. Then once they get that partial agreement, they're probably going to send you another PWN, either approving or denying those things that you listed in your partial agreement. And then after the partial agreement, if they still say no, then you ask for an informal dispute resolution meeting with the director of special education, or you file a compliance complaint, or you do both. And when you take those steps, you will be successful.
Okay.
So those are the advocacy steps I'm talking about.
Okay. So then I need to go back and essentially remind them of my request again, and then have them.
No, you don't have to remind them of anything. You already made the formal request. That's delayed. You already made your formal request in the IEP meeting. And was it documented in the IEP?
Yes, I sent them an agenda. I sent them an agenda and had all the case law before the meeting.
You already did that. Now they have to respond to those requests. If they have not responded to you within 10 days with a prior written notice, they broke that law, because that's a violation. And so your next step would be then, where's my PWN? You can write a letter and say, at the IEP meeting on this date, I made these requests and I still have not received my prior written notice.
Okay.
And then you get the prior written notice, and then you do all those steps I just said. But if you don't know how to write a partial agreement, if you don't know how to write those specific things, then they're just going to blow you off. So you have to know how to write those things in the proper way that's going to hold, that they're going to see, oh, this mom knows what she's doing. And they're going to take notice and sit up and say, okay, well, we better do this because this mom knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, yeah, they do. Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
So hi, this is Simran.
Hi, Simran.
Yes, hi. So I think I did ask you a question on Facebook about this. So
Oh, yes.
my son has, he has a one-on-one aid. He just joined TK, and because of distance learning, he's not. They're saying that he can't. They can't do anything about it. And I have been documenting and logging it. I do have his IEP coming up, so just wanted to know, how to advocate for him. Or I know you did mention that they are violating the law, but then they say that we are not giving it to anyone.
So like I said in the my post that, and I just talked to a vet about the same things. Those are the same steps you're going to take. These are the steps that I teach in the monthly parent membership. I teach the steps. I show you, here's the letters. I give you the form letters. I show you exactly how to write the letters and each step that you take so that they don't delay you. You don't have an IEP meeting and then you wait and then you go back and have an IEP meeting and ask again and then you wait. That's not what you do. There are specific steps you take, and then when you get through the steps, you will get success at the end. So that's what I were you on at the very beginning of this call right now? Because I know I had a problem getting people on.
No, sorry, I missed it.
Okay, so I was talking about the success that all of my parents are having in the parent brigade, that I just had a mom who was successful in getting compensatory education or compensatory speech and language services for March, April, May, and June when they closed down. And not very many parents are having success with getting compensatory education or compensatory services because they're just saying, no, we don't have to do that because virtual schooling, and we didn't know what was going to happen. But she just got made up March, April, May, and June of all of her speech services because she's going through the steps and it's the same steps I do as an advocate. And that's how I win. And that's what I teach all the parents in the monthly membership. Here's the steps. If you follow the steps, if you take the time to read the curriculum I put on the website and learn the steps and write the letters the way I show you to write the letters, like a partial agreement, a parent agenda, or a written dissent to what they're offering, and know what to say, you will win. You will get your child's needs met, whether it's they're not, your child isn't successful in virtual schooling, your child needs a one-on-one aid, your child needs a one-on-one aid to come into the home in order for your child to be successful with virtual learning. If you want to make up your March, April, May, and June services that they never gave you and you want those paid back to you, whatever it may be, or you want in-person back at school, whatever it may be, these are the steps you take to get to those things. And all of my parents in the brigade are having success with all of those things.
Okay, then do send me the details. And so
I think I said I gave you the
Yeah.
link in that post I gave you.
Okay, let me go back and check on
Yeah,
it.
I said, here's the link to learn more about the parent brigade. It's in that link, but it's also listed on that page too. If you look down, on the post, you'll see the parent brigade there. But if you can't find it, let me know.
Sure. One more question. So I don't have to sign the IEP, right? If they have an IEP and they're also changing all the goals. So he had a lot of those language and social goals, but the draft that they sent me has changed everything.
So are they calling that a virtual learning plan or a distance learning plan?
No,
Or
that's
Form G?
mentioned.
Is it Form G?
No, it's mentioned as an annual IEP.
Well, they can't change everything in your annual. I mean, they can try because that's your annual. They can change things at your annual, but if it's not continuing to meet your son's needs, then they have to prove, why are they changing it? Why are they changing those things from before? If he hasn't met those goals, and if he continues to have areas of need, they can't decrease services, change services, or not continue to have goals in those areas.
Okay, thank you. I'll check on it. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. So Yvette's saying that they keep using the health and safety reasons. Our district is bringing in person mid-October, but will enforce masks. Yeah, that's what I said. Okay, so we did talk about that. So yeah, the health and safety thing is an excuse, okay? ADA says that they must provide access to an education for your child, and they are discriminating against our kids because our kids don't have access to virtual schooling because they can't sit down in the chair, get the computer out, click on the link, turn on the computer, go to the link where the teacher is, go to Google Classrooms, go to Zoom. They can't do that. Parents have to sit next to their child the entire time and prompt them, do the technology piece, and be the one-on-one aid. And so ADA says that is not okay. Parents should not, if parents have to do that, they should be being paid to be the one-on-one aid. That's what ADA says. And I posted this is in the brigade. I put the ADA laws and what the ADA recommended in my parent brigade. All of this information I provide of the laws, the regulations, the new case laws that have there's 3 cases, you guys. There's probably more, but I know of 3 recent cases that have just been won where the judge ruled that the district failed to provide children an education. They must make up for March, April, May, and June, and they must provide in-person services for kids. 3 cases, brand new case law. So now we have case law, we have the ADA, we have AB 98 that says in-person services school districts are not precluded from providing in-person services because of the pandemic. And we have the essential workers also, which is also in SB 98. So they'll say, oh, we can't, it's not our call. It's the health department. The health department says we can't provide in-person services. Yeah, that's for the general population, not for our kids on an IEP. We have tons of laws behind us. We have IDEA and we have the Americans with Disabilities Act, which way supersedes any of their, little health department rules that they have. They have to make it work for us. And it's been 6 months now. They know how to be safe now. They know how to, make sure that we're safe from catching the pandemic, and they know what to do. And so, like I said, it's already been ruled in case law by judges that the district must provide it. So they don't have excuses anymore, guys. And ADA is saying the same thing, because there's been some ADA violations because people are filing now like crazy under IDA violations and ADA violations, and we're winning. So don't let them give you those excuses. So what is the website? Okay, so I'm talking about the brigade website, the monthly brigade website. So this is a monthly membership. So there's a monthly fee to be in the brigade. And I have a whole website where I put all the curriculum on there and everything that I just talked about. We have coaching calls twice a month where I coach you through every step. You can ask me the questions. And I also provide one-on-one consultations with you to help you make sure you write the letters properly and you take the steps properly as we move through each step. So that's the monthly parent brigade. Okay. It's on my Advocates for Angels Facebook page and on the Special Education Parent Empowerment Network private Facebook page. So if you haven't joined the private Facebook page, please do, because I post tons of stuff on there all the time. That this is all free information that I give on my Facebook page, as well as my town hall is of course all free information. My Monday morning Facebook Lives are all free information. The Parent Brigade is when I'm actually working with you to train you on the advocacy steps. So it's actually working with an advocate so that you can be successful and getting consultations from me to make sure you're successful in taking those steps. So that's what the Parent Brigade is. Yes, ADA says that if a parent is sitting next to their child and acting as the one-on-one aide every single day, that parent should be get paid as a one-on-one aide, because that's what you essentially are. And it says, if a parent has had to hire an aide, a tutor, or another adult to sit next to their child in order for their child to access their education online, that they should be reimbursed for having to be paid, hire another adult because that parent might work. It also says that. Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Valerie, Redora, I just have a question. So then when you can you just email the teacher, like the speech therapist that you're requesting for like in-person service? Or do you have to like email your whole IEP team to ask for those?
So if you don't have an IEP coming up or scheduled, then yes, you can write a letter to your, you should write it to the district representative, so your program specialist. And you would have to write it very specifically to that you are requesting in-person services, and then cite those laws that I'm talking about and say that you're requesting for is it for academic, is it for aid, is it for, what is it for?
It's for his speech and for OT.
Okay. So then you would say, yes, I'm requesting in-person services for my speech and my OT. And here are the laws and regulations that state that you must provide the in-person services, and that the pandemic thing cannot be an excuse any longer. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it in a letter. You don't have to do it in an IEP meeting. You can absolutely do it in a letter.
Okay.
Yeah, and
good.
I can work with you, Redora, on writing that letter.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work on that letter. Because you have your oh yeah, we're gonna schedule your October consultation, right?
Yeah, I emailed you about it, but I don't know if you're able to get it yet.
Yeah, we'll schedule it in next week.
Okay. And another question, how about for the requesting for an IE for those? Do we just write it in the letter as well, or?
Well, you can't request an IEE, remember, until you have your didn't they say you can't request it because of this settlement agreement until your next IEP meeting? Annual?
Oh yeah, the annual. You have to wait till the annual.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You have to wait till your annual before you can request any IEEs now.
Yes, supposedly. Oh.
Yeah, but you can ask for the in-person services, that's for sure.
Okay, yeah, because the OT ain't helping if it's just telehealth kind of thing.
Yeah, I know, and it's not working for many kids, telehealth.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else has a question?
Yes, tell us about your little oh my god, please forgive my English, documentary that you're doing.
Yeah, the documentary.
Yes, share.
Okay, so there's it's called a CRM, which is it's basically a technology program that businesses use have their email list and to do marketing and promotion and to connect with their with people, with whoever they have. So it's called Infusionsoft and Keep. And it also is a way for them to a cart for them to accept money. And so it has a bunch of different services involved in it to have an online business. It's basically what it is. So that's who I use for my online business, to have my advocacy agency and to help reach parents across the nation. Well, they're doing a campaign, and their campaign is that they had entrepreneurs write in and tell them their story about what they do as an entrepreneur, and they chose me to be in the documentary. They only chose 3 entrepreneurs, and this is a worldwide company. So I was pretty shocked and amazed that I got chosen, but I filmed it yesterday. So they sent a film crew to my home, and we filmed the documentary yesterday. And it was pretty exciting. So right now they have to go back and cut it and do it, put it all together. And then it'll be coming out soon. So I'll let everybody know when it comes out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm happy about it because I feel like it's going to raise awareness to so many people that have no idea about what we go through as moms and as parents in special education. Because you guys know, if you I'm sure in your own families that, your own like sisters or brothers or cousins or, that don't have special needs kids, they have no clue what we're going through. They don't know what we're talking about when we talk about IEP meetings or when we're frustrated or angry or hurt or sad or depressed. They don't understand because they don't have special needs kids. They don't understand what it's like to deal with special education and the broken system. And so this is really, and that's what I talk about in the mini documentary series, is that I talk about, how really corrupt and how they discriminate, how discriminatory it is towards our kids. And that even though there is federal law that is supposed to protect our rights and the rights of our child, they don't enforce the law. They break the law every day. And that, it's up to us as parents. We're the ones that have to enforce the law by going through the steps that I teach you to hold them accountable to the law, because they're breaking the law. We're enforcing the law. We're the ones supervising them and holding them accountable for breaking the law, because nobody else is going to do it. They get away with it every day. So that's what I talk about in the documentary. What the heck is this happening in 2020, almost 2021, when discrimination is supposed to be so, outdated and it's not allowed anymore. Yet our kids are completely discriminated, ostracized, segregated, and treated like less than every day. And so it's going to raise awareness and it's going to help people understand about the current situation in special education today, which is a very broken system.
You're going to end up on 2020, Valerie.
I don't know about that, but
you're going to be famous.
I hope so.
Because I want everybody to know about the special education system, because it needs to be reformed. Our educational system needs to be reformed. And that's my mission. That's my mission.
Yeah.
It really is. Because it is so wrong what they do to our kids every day. 7 million kids across the nation. And most of those kids are, you guys know your story. And now there's 7 million other moms with the same story as you. I mean, that's just so wrong. Yet it's still happening today. And most of the population don't know it. They don't even know it. So that's why I'm happy about it, because people need to know. Yep. So that's exciting. That was really exciting. But I'm really, really tired from that yesterday. That was exhausting. It was like all day, but it was fun though.
Oh my. Yeah. Well, that's great. You deserve that.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you.
Yeah, you should report all those districts that are so corrupted.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, I spilled the beans. I really. They're-
Along with the lawyers.
Yep.
Oh, God, I hope you took
I
over San Diego too.
I didn't name names. I didn't name any districts because, you know, it's really, they're all the same. They just
It's
have, you know,
true.
one does this, one does that, but they all break the law every day.
They all are
So.
anyway.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So anybody else have any questions or concerns or what's happening with you guys with your case? And what are you doing?
Well, Valerie, you
Any-
saw my email today about, it was just again, further proof that the teacher is not differentiating, is not, you know, doing her job. You know, just again, further proof
Mhm. Yeah.
when
It
she, you know, when she wrote, said, you know, oh, make him write 2 sentences. You know, he doesn't write.
Yeah.
And
pretty shocking.
it's just, again, further proof that he's not, been a waste of time in the classroom. And, you know, I put him in special ed because I wanted him to get special ed. I thought he would get differentiated instruction and taught the way he should be taught. That's why, you know, we ended up putting him in a special ed class and taking him out of general ed. And it's been 2 years of nothing.
Yes.
So again, just further proof.
Absolutely. Yep. So just so the other parents that are listening know, so Liz was saying that her son, he doesn't write yet. So he learns in different ways and he communicates in different ways. So the teacher in the breakout room in their virtual class today, she told the aide to have Theo write 2 sentences when he doesn't write. Now, this is his teacher that he's had for this year, right? Right, Liz? Or did she?
2.5 years, 2.5
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, really?
Take out, and then she
Oh my
said,
God.
have Theo take out his journal and write 2 sentences. And then I asked the aide, I said, so what are we supposed to do in the breakout room? Well, the teacher said he's supposed to write 2 sentences. And I said, well, he doesn't write.
Oh my God.
And then the aides, well, maybe we can try to, and I said, no, this is ridiculous. You know, I'm trying to fight for him getting a special tutoring in an agency that specializes in autism. And that's what we're working on right now, because, you know, it's 2.5 years of this,
Yes.
of not any, the goals not being met for 2.5 years. And then they changed his eligibility without my knowledge to ID. And it's Valerie that found that. And she ended up getting it changed back to autism because they wanted to put him in a severe class. He's in a mild moderate.
Yes.
Michael,
So that's our struggle, my struggle.
Wow.
Barbara, can you mute here? Barbara, can you mute? Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, so that just shows that teacher, you know, she didn't take the time to modify Theo's curriculum, or she doesn't even remember that he doesn't write. So, I mean, what we're supposed to guess at why on earth she would tell the aide to have him write 2 sentences after she's been with him for 2.5 years. But basically, the bottom line is that's the negligence. And that is completely violation of, not meeting the needs of this child. I mean, how embarrassing, really, for that teacher. I mean, we're gonna, document that big time, so that she is embarrassed, because that is negligence, blatant negligence on that teacher's part.
Elizabeth, you mentioned special ed tutoring and autism. Is this like a place, an agency, or are you looking for someone?
No, I already found somebody that Valerie recommended to me.
Oh,
It's called Visual Communication. It's where they specializes in treating children that are autistic, and they teach them other ways to learn. My child, we found, learns with technology, on iPads, on computers.
mhm.
And so this place specifically will teach my son to communicate and to learn, to read, to write on technology.
Wow, and you would think the
And
school
so-
should offer these things, right? These services.
Well, yeah, and it's intense, 2 hours intensive, working with my son for 2 hours, intensive tutoring. And it's amazing the results that, and this is a woman that opened this. She has a son, autistic, nonverbal, and it's amazing what she's done with her son. He's like now 18. She started working with him when he was 10. And he's off the charts, doing algebra, reading, comprehend, everything. And not only that, I mean, she has, tons. I talk to all the parents when I go to the agency, and they just tell me what their children are now doing. And these are children that were considered severe. Their eligibility was ID, and they were removed from their schools. And these are kids that are now functioning and learning and reading and writing and communicating.
Wow. So what does our school,
So
what do the schools do? I mean, it's so sad,
What?
I said, what do the schools do then? They don't offer anything. Like you said, you put your child in special ed.
It's just like what we had to do with you, with the steps that we've had to take
Yeah.
for you to get your compensatory education. That's what you have to do for everything, to hold them accountable to meeting your child's needs. If they can do nothing, they're going to do nothing. If parents allow them to do nothing, then that's exactly what they do. That's why it's so important. That's why I scream from the rooftops. Parents, you have to learn this stuff. If you don't, you aren't going to get it. They're not going to give it to you. They're not going to offer it to you. They're not going to tell you about it. They're not going to tell you what's available for your child. They're not going to tell you what your child needs. They're not going to write the right goals. They're not going to offer the right services. They're going to get away with as little as they possibly can. And that's what they're going to do.
As intense as this distance learning has been, I feel like it's almost like a blessing, because I got to see how they are teaching my child, who is nonverbal or pre-verbal, I guess. And, during our Zoom classes, the teacher goes around the class asking questions, and you have to respond by using a full sentence. And after, week after week, I email her, I'm like, my son can't speak. How is he accessing?
He's not.
Level. He's not. So it makes me wonder, what does he do in class? And I'm more concerned now about how when they go back in class, is this what you're going to be doing?
And this is how they respond then when a parent says something like that, because you're basically saying, well, this teacher isn't, meeting the needs of my child because my child can't talk. Then they're going to come back with you and say, well, then you need to put your child in the severely handicapped class where the other kids are that can't talk. Oh, so he can just sit there and never talk because you'll never give him a communication device. You'll
Mhm.
never work with PECs. You'll never give him what he needs. He'll just sit there and do nothing and be babysat in the severely handicapped class. No, you
Exactly.
put him in the most highest functioning class that is most appropriate for the child to be placed. And then you make them do what they're supposed to do, to have high expectations for the child with all the supports and services allotted to you under the law. And there's lots of them. There are so many supports and services that our children are available to them and they're eligible for, but they don't tell you about it. And you have to fight for those supports and services.
Which is why I feel it's been a blessing to kind of, I really got to see how they're teaching my child, you know, because I sit with him basically like I'm his one-on-one. And I told my husband, I'm like, wow, so if this was in class right now, he's not going to be able to participate. He's not going to have a fair chance at accessing curriculum, and they're just going to move him along, and he's not going to meet goals, and they're going to say, hey, he's stubborn. He doesn't want to, you know, well, yeah, because you're not meeting his level. So
Right. Well, he needs a form of communication.
I requested an assessment for an assistive technology. I definitely did that.
Yeah, you're all set, Hala, to get going now, to get his needs met. So you've got all the assessments in line, and now that's the first step, guys. It's always the first step. If you don't have the proper assessments, then you're never going to have the proper IEP. So with this, the second a parent hires me as their advocate, that's the first thing I do, is I get all assessments in every area of that child's suspected disability. And I start from the ground floor, because that's how you develop an IEP properly to meet the needs of the child. So that's what everyone needs to do. Yeah,
No,
and Yvette's saying to go in and always observe your child in the classroom. And I think probably most of you do that on a regular basis. But the thing with the virtual is, you know, they cover it up. First of all, they don't let you stay long enough to see anything. They let you stay for 20 minutes or a half hour. You know, to stay longer than 30 minutes, it's like pulling teeth. Then they have the principal have to escort you to the observation and sit there and make you feel uncomfortable. And then the teacher puts on a show, and you don't really see what really is going on because they don't let you see. So Hollis, I think your point was, in virtual, parents got the opportunity to actually be involved with their child, see what level their child is at, see how the teacher communicates with the child, what kind of curriculum the teacher is teaching, how the teacher is accommodating or modifying with that child, and it's like in your face. Oh my gosh, my child isn't getting their needs met. Look at where my child is. So you either found out that your child was way lower than you thought they were, or sometimes some of parents have said, my child, why don't they even have some of these goals? My child can do all these things with me at home. And it went the other direction. So it was a great opportunity for parents to become much more familiar with the actual IEP and what the IEP says, and to see where really their child's present levels of performance really are. A true picture. And you know what? The districts know that now, and boy, are they scared. Because they know that now moms have gotten really intensely involved in their child's education, where before they would shut you out. They wouldn't let you be involved. You know, no, you can come for 20 minutes or half hour, and then they put the show on for you. How do we know what's really going on in the classroom, right? Even if you have a daily communication log, you still don't really know, because they cover it up.
They definitely are not happy now, because now we have data. Like I can tell you from all my mommies, we have data from every single day. So imagine 12 moms requesting SKIA assessments because they, according to them, the kids don't need one-on-one. They can do everything on their own. And now one of them can do anything on their own. They don't know, they're in first grade. They don't know from the A from B to Z. They don't know 1 to 3. They don't know left from right. They get up in 1 hour, 42 times. But according to them, So
Okay.
now I know in my district, I can tell you for sure that they're crapping themselves because
Yeah.
we are requesting just for this 12 alone,
Yeah.
12 ski assessments.
Yeah, good.
And we send the request with all the data for 2 weeks. All the pages, we send it to them here and the videos too.
Good. Yeah. Boy, videos are great evidence, parents. If you can take videos, take as much video as you possibly can.
What do you mean videos? Like while they're like during Zoom sessions?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God.
During
So
Zoom
how would that
session,
help?
this is what my kid does during a Zoom session.
You cannot record the class, but you can record just your child. So these parents sat
Take
next
it
to
on the
the
side.
child.
Take it
One,
on the side.
Okay.
yeah, one parent was recording what the other one kept on putting them back and forth. So there's two
What?
parents, not only one person, actually two parents. One recording while the other one is putting the child back and forth.
Oh, so this is to support your SKIA, request. Okay.
We can have one-on-one and we don't want the child to go to the lower functioning class. We want them to have a one-on-one with the typical peers.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
That's all I do all day, is just bringing back 100 times.
Yeah, but you have to
So
write
that's
it down
your
every
part.
time you do it.
Yeah,
Write it
that's
down
your
and
part.
videotape it.
And then
Okay.
you can record, don't show the kiddos'
Okay.
faces on the computer, but record, your child, okay, he'll sit there and he might look for 5 seconds and then he gets up or he walks away or he starts doing something else. Yeah, this is proof. This is evidence to show
Okay.
your child is not accessing anything or learning anything, which is violation all over the place under IDA, under ADA, everywhere. And guess what that means? They owe you more than March, April, May, and June. They owe you from the beginning of school till now because they still haven't provided access to an education for those kids.
And we learn all this from Valerie and how to document too. I remember at the beginning when I first met you, I know you gave us a class of how to do it and you have it in the parent brigade.
Yes. Yep. And that's how you.
So, Valerie, so since, like my kiddo, he doesn't really comprehend what you're asking him, or like, he doesn't know how to write as well. Like, should we just like let him, like, just not help him wise is what I'm trying to say. So to prove that, you guys need to provide him an aid or do something because he can't do it on his own, because
Right.
we're just basically like telling him what to say most of the time, or like helping him write, and then I don't know if the teacher is documenting it as like, oh yeah, he's know the answer, or he's writing, or
Yeah.
like giving
Yeah.
him good grades when he like
Okay, so I know
doesn't.
exactly what you're saying, because this is a situation with Liz, this is a situation with Angie, and even Hala. A lot of these moms on here, a lot of you guys have very similar kiddos too, and a lot of boys. Usually,
Yeah, boys.
So anyway, Liz is the teacher. She's teaching her child, but we've shown evidence to show that how the teacher isn't teaching him, and so you can still, help him to learn. But you still take your video showing. If you don't help him, then you show what happens when you don't help him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have to build your evidence through documentation, written documentation, as well as video documentation, as well as your data collection you're taking every day. Today, my child got up 15 times, and here's a video to show you, and my child, whatever it is, whatever took place that day that you can write in your data collection, of what he didn't access and his behaviors. But then you can also help him so he's going to get something. You don't want to just let this go on for months and months.
Valerie, the other thing that I did notice from some of the moms showing the videos, the teachers prompting the kiddos a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So they document that too, that the teacher prompting them and actually having to repeat something and then saying, oh, he can do it. But they actually prompt him, tell him what to say.
Yeah.
The kid gave the answer and then they documented as, oh, he mastered this.
He gave the answer. Yeah, I know they're doing that too. They're absolutely doing that.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah, and that's why there's.
Or they revise the question or to something else, and then
Well, and
you
then
know,
the teachers are saying, these kids have A's. I just had a IEP today, and this kid has straight A's. And we're like, no, he doesn't have straight A's. No. So they're watering down the expectations. They're supposed to be taking data collection. They're supposed to be measuring, progress and having a progress monitoring and grades and all of this stuff. It's supposed to be baloney. This is not a regular education that these kids are getting in virtual learning.
yeah, I requested for a progress report, like if I could have one like every end of the month or every end of 3 or how many weeks later. And she said like, we don't really do a progress report till like, their quarterly grades or something like that. I was like, how do you keep track of the kids' grade then?
Well, they're not. The law, the SB 98 law, which is the requirements for schooling now, says that they have to do it just as if they were in school. So they're supposed to be monitoring grades, monitoring tests and quizzes, and applying grades. Right, Liz? You're a teacher.
Oh yeah, everything's normal. I mean, we're doing everything, assessments. We have to do everything as if we were in the class.
Mm-hmm. Right. But many of these teachers are not doing that because they're not really teaching. So they're fudging it. They're fudging the grades.
Valerie?
Yes.
So in regards to the data, how should I, since my daughter really isn't even wanting to log in, I try to log in. The second we log in, there's a tantrum, there's an escalation of behaviors. I can't be logging on all day. And so I already know she's not even accessing, not even wanting to join in. I've tried different ways. And so how do I collect data if I already know? Is it okay to collect data that she's not even logging in? Will they accept something like that?
Yes. Your data would be that you tried and this is what she did. That, she threw her tantrum or whatever she did, and then you didn't try again. And then you should show your evidence of what you did prior. You took other steps to try to implement and try to get her to log in. But then, you're not going to, it's been months now, so you're not going to continue to do that. So now, after so many times of trying other strategies that didn't work, now you just try once. And if she doesn't do it, then that's it for the day. But it also is covering you as a mom to say, look, I am still supporting her, but you're not meeting her needs behaviorally because she can't log in.
Right.
And I've done my due diligence, right?
You know what, Valerie? One of the moms, she had the computer and the iPad because the child like completely refused and meltdown, and they started giving the child a truancy. So the mom used 2 devices, the computer that the district gave her and her own iPad, so they can see that she tried, and the kid actually grabs the computer, turns it off. So it's not that she doesn't want to. So the teacher is like, oh, turn it off, turn it off, turn it down. And like, no, you mute it.
Yeah.
No, they told me that I couldn't, they sent me an email because what I was doing in the beginning, I would have my daughter on her desktop to see if she would get on. And then that way she wasn't distracted by me. I would come into my room and I would log on so I could watch her and see how many times she was getting out of her seat and just, so I wasn't distracting her. They emailed me and told me that I couldn't log on, that there was only one device that could be used, one login.
And I've seen lots of districts are doing that, saying, oh, parents can't be in the room, parents can't do this, and parents can't do that. Okay, well then you take your data collection and you say, and you turn it back around on them. You aren't providing the support for my child to access the virtual schooling, and they're in violation. Because in your situation, what they should be doing for you, they should have a in-home behavioral aid coming to your house every day. That's where you are in your situation with your child.
Yeah, they said, I requested for that, and of course, they denied that. They said they're not allowing any employees of the district to go into homes, no in person at all.
Like I said before, that's what they're gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Unless you take the next steps.
Right.
That's always their first response is no, because it's gonna cost them $35,000 a year to send a parent to, an A tier home. If they can get out of that, they're gonna tell you no.
Right. And
But
that's
what
where
you
I'm at.
deserve.
Yeah, Valerie, this goes back to, I'm seeing that October 5th seems to be the day that they're allowing special ed kids back on sites.
Not all of them.
Those are the only one-on-one.
Just
Only the ones with
little-
Yeah,
one-on-one.
only if they have one-on-ones. That's the only kids that are being allowed back to return.
What about the rest of the special ed kids that can't sit?
They're
Just
not
because they
getting-
haven't gotten to the point of getting a one-on-one doesn't mean they could do it on their
You're
own.
right, you're right. But
All of us,
what they're
Well,
starting,
that's discrimination.
that's
Definitely.
what we all request in the skias, because
Yeah.
all these kiddos they have gotten away with no one-on-ones because we couldn't prove it. Now we have the data, now we have the video, now they're gonna have to figure it out and they're gonna have to provide it, and we're gonna have to fight.
So the SKIA obviously needs to happen when they're back in class, obviously, right? Because they can't assess.
We already
even-
requested it, and they have a period of time to do the assessments. We already put the request. Right, Valerie?
But
yeah.
I mean, the SKIA has to be done when they're in class, right? Not when they're at
If you
home.
have a SKIA on your IEP, then yes, you get your SKIA when you go back to class.
Okay,
You
And
get
for the-
everything. You should have everything now.
yeah.
But Valerie, if you're requesting a SKIA assessment, well, we requested it already 3 weeks ago, and we have not received any response. Nothing.
What do you mean by a SKIA assessment?
See, in order, that's a district aid, Liz. So you have a non-public behavioral aid.
Yeah,
A SKIA is a district aid, one-on-one aid. So to get a district one-on-one aid, you have to ask for a SKIA assessment. That's how you are found eligible for district aid.
got it.
Yeah.
So they have to give us prior written notice
No,
so we can
no,
move forward, right?
No, you should have gotten your assessment plan within 15 days after requesting a SKIA assessment. So they violated the assessment plan timeline.
And now we have to do a compliance complaint for all 12.
Wow.
That's right.
And I'm sorry, I just want to ask quickly regarding data collection. So you recommend it's done daily as opposed to weekly, like a summary weekly? It should be done daily?
Yeah, I recommended since back in April that
Okay.
parents have their daily data
Daily.
collection on virtual schooling, because that is going to be your legal evidence to show that they didn't provide children an education. Because it's just like when they're in school, they're supposed to be taking daily data collection, but do you think they are? Heck no, most of the time they're not. Unless they have a private ABA aid, then they're taking data collection. But for the kids that don't have a private ABA aid, they're not taking data collection, but nevertheless, they're taking some kind of, like there's some kind of evidence of what the child is doing on a daily basis in that class. So now you're the teacher in the home taking the data collection, basically. And you're building evidence to show that they didn't educate your kid all this time. That's your evidence, is your data collection.
It's like this, but like, for example, about like this mom, look, this is how she did it.
Yeah, you guys,
like-
I gave you logs.
Yeah.
In the action plan, in the action guide, on the brigade website. Look at
Yeah, but
action guide.
These moms don't speak English, so they write it in Spanish and
Oh,
I do the translation and all that.
As long as you have something, I mean, you got it. It's written down and you have a history of what happened. But if you want an actual log, there's logs. There are lots of different ways to collect data, and you have journals in the action guide on the Parent Brigade.
How do you get the ABA aid versus a regular aid?
You have to ask for a FBA, functional behavior assessment, through which you did, right? You got one.
Yeah, so it's still in the process. So they
Yeah,
are still assessing him.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay, so you get
two more tests.
the FBA, the district does the FBA, and then it's not going to say anything or do anything because district assessments are meaningless. So
Yeah.
then you disagree with the district FBA, and then you ask for an IEE FBA, and that's when you get a private ABA agency to come in and assist your child. And if your child has autism and is like everybody, what you guys are telling me how your kiddos are, that ABA agency is going to say this child needs a behavioral aid supervised by a BCBA, doctor of behavior, and those run $45,000 to $60,000 a year. And that's how you get a behavioral aid.
Yeah, so right now we're having the FBA assessment from his IEE.
Okay, so yeah. So then now that's, yep, they're going to come back and they're going to make those recommendations. And that's when you advocate for those recommendations to be implemented and accepted through the school.
Okay, yeah, because I'm trying to make her life miserable when she comes over to my house just to show her like this is what we have to go through every day.
Yeah.
So
Valerie, is it okay if I make a comment to IRPA 8? You always have to make sure that you don't depend on the system, the teacher to teach your son or your daughter. You have to figure out on your own how your child learns, because you can't depend on them because they're not going to come through for you. And so you need to figure that out, which is what I had to do, because they were saying he can't learn, he can't learn, he can't learn. So I just said, no, I know my child can learn. I know better than you. I'm his mom. I know what he's capable of. And then you start figuring that out. And then you start videotaping it. And then you take it to an IEP and say, see, my child can learn. So now you hold them accountable that they have to teach him. And still, and I've done those things and still, I'm still fighting but you have to keep, working with your child and figure out how they learn. And it's a hard process. And I'm a teacher and it's hard for me, but you can't depend on the system to teach your child. You have to prove that your child can learn, because they're not going to prove it. What they want to do is they want to label them ID and they want to forget about them. So you need to take it upon yourself to figure it out. And if you think your child can learn, then videotape it and show it to them. And then you've got a fight on your hands. But otherwise, if they can't do it and they can't show that he's learning and you can't show it either, then it's just going to be a battle. So, you know what your child is capable of. When you figure that out, start videotaping it.
Yeah, because they're not going to figure it out.
No, not at all. They don't want to figure it out.
No.
Valerie, I have a question on assessments. If this is considered, I don't know if this was a trick question or, but the teacher asked me, because my triennial is coming up in December, and they asked me if I wanted to do all of the assessments.
Yeah. Okay, so that is because in virtual schooling, with all the tries coming up, they want to waive those tries. They don't want to assess, because a psychoeducational triennial review is a lot of work for those sites to do those very large diagnostic assessments. Okay, so if they can get out of it, they will. So that's why she's asking you, because if you say no, that's okay, we don't have to do it, woohoo, she doesn't have to do an assessment. She can check that one off, boom, because when the parent says no, I don't necessarily want to try, then all they do is they do a history review where they will document the past triennial assessments, what the scores were in the past. And then that's all it is. It's just a history review with no current standardized testing to show where your child currently is in their present levels of academic performance. So, you know, now we also have the situation is, if you're going to get an assessment done, of course, you don't want it done virtually. If your child can't sit and turn on the computer and listen and take a standardized test, that's crazy, right? They're not going to do that. So that would be completely ineffective. So then you have the fight of, I want my triennial assessment, but I want it done in person. Okay. So now if they are not, if you have to advocate, and it's going to take time to make them do it in person, you can simply say, I want a full triennial assessment and I'm gonna wait till we get back to school. I don't want to waive it. I want the try, and we can do it when we get back to school because it has to be done in person. Because my child certainly cannot test virtually.
Yes.
Or
Okay.
another districts here in San Diego, they are hiring third parties to do the assessments. Like Carlsbad, they're actually hiring outside companies to actually do the triennials and all the assessments.
In person,
In person, yes.
good for them. That's good.
Yeah.
As long as they can get it done.
So we're using that as an example for San Diego Unified. Well,
Great.
if all the districts are doing it, why can't you do it? If you cannot do it if you cannot do it, in person, all the districts are doing is hiring all these other people. Why can't you hire them too?
Stupid CNUSD is telling us that even our private agencies, when we get IEEs, all the private providers are seeing kids in person. They're telling the private IEE providers, no, you can't do it in person. It has to be done virtually. And we're like, what the heck? The private provider wants to do it in person, and CNUSD is telling them they can't. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, so some districts are just taking a hard stance. It's like, why don't you try to make it a little easier and better in the places you can, rather than putting a wall up and making it harder than it already is?
Well, San Diego's coming up with a form for the triennials. They want the parents to either waive it, wait till the school is actual open, or only do a records review.
I know, that's what they
all
want.
they want.
That's what they want.
But
Yeah,
we're like, no.
No, I told my teacher that I wanted to see a comparison from 3 years ago to where she's at today.
Well, you need to say, I want my full psychoeducational assessment.
Yeah.
Email, and via email. Don't talk to them on the phone. Everything documented.
You got to put it in writing for sure. And because if you just said what you just said, they could just do a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's still not going to be a full psychoed assessment.
Oh, okay.
So you have to respond with, no, I'm requesting that my child receive the full triennial review.
Okay.
Also, they're contacting the parents to ask about these triennials via the class dojo, which I don't even think is appropriate to be talking anything.
That's not a secure
Exactly.
and
And then
platform.
they write stuff and then they delete it. So they never said anything, or the parent.
No, it should never, any IEP stuff should never be put in Dojo. That's only for daily teacher academic communication with parents. Only for daily, what's happening in the classroom.
Just
Nothing
FYI.
IEP. No, that's a violation of confidentiality. Right. So, Simran is asking, how do I request the functional behavior assessments of therapist or assessment? Well, how you get a behavior therapist is you ask for an FBA, which is an assessment. It stands for Functional Behavior Assessment, FBA. You request that in writing that you want an FBA. And then once you do that in writing, they have 15 days to get you the assessment plan that you sign, that you're giving authorization for them to assess your child for an FBA. And then within 60 days of you signing the assessment plan, they must conduct the assessment and hold an IEP meeting. Now, those timelines are for California. Are you in California, Simran, or what state are you in? Is she still on? Oh, California, yes, she's in California. Okay, so yep,
Yes,
that's the process. And then after you get the FBA in, then you go with what I just talked about. They're not gonna, it's gonna be a district FBA. District's assessments never fully do the proper recommendations because they don't want to. They don't want to identify your child's deficits. So they watered it down. They make it look like that your child's fine and they're meeting their needs and they have a great program. So you always have to ask for a second opinion, which is an IEE, an independent educational evaluation that is done by a private agency, and the district funds that assessment by a private provider. And that's when you get the true information and the right recommendations to meet the needs of your child. So that's the process.
And how long do they have to get the contracts in place? Like for me, it took 30 days for them to get is there a timeline on those contracts?
So IEEs, that's where it gets a little gray area because there's, unfortunately, IDEA does not have a strict timeline on IEEs. Now, why is that? That's because a private provider that doesn't work for the school district, they can't tell a private provider, you have 60 days to do this assessment, private provider. They're not held accountable to IDEA. They don't work for the school district, right? So they can't.
Right, but they don't.
Restrictions on an IE provider. Okay.
And they can't even hold a restriction like I've got 20 days to get a contract in place. They can take months and months to get a contract going.
No, because have you seen how I've put that, Angie, with Jeremiah and with Halama? I've said several times, this is not a reasonable time frame. That's what the law says.
Right.
The law says it has to be a reasonable time frame to where from the date you request it to the date that they develop a contract and they begin the assessment. It has to be a reasonable time frame. Months and months and months,
Okay.
It's not a reasonable time frame. When you compare it to 15 days to get an assessment plan and then the assessment starts for a district, so you're going to think it's going to be somewhere around the 15 days, maybe 20, maybe 30, but by 30 days, past 30 days, that's not reasonable anymore. So she's past the,
Okay.
that's why I said it's been 30 days. That was my like, hey, you're getting in the unreasonable time frame. When I sent that email and I said, it's been 28 days, lady, you know, move your butt. That's what I was basically saying to her. Okay, so that's why I say, okay, you're gonna take too long, then I'm just adding it to the compliance complaint that you took too long to get the contract in place. With her
and with
back and forth with the PWA and the assessment plan and all the crap. Now I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna retract it through the DocuSign and all that bullshit. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
And my logs will look very different this week because, you know, as you know, there's no aid. So JJ's not logging in. Are they going to hold me accountable because I am not logging him in? I mean, okay.
No, and you're just going to document that. He didn't log in today. That's what you document.
Okay. Okay.
And because they made it very clear, they don't want you to do that. Right? They want you,
Right.
well, they kind of said, log in and then leave. Right? But, you know, we're in a descent right now. And so, you know, I think it's perfectly fine for you to do whatever you do right now because they're screwed.
Got you.
You know,
Okay.
they're always accusing you of being there too much and doing too much and go away, mom, you know, you shouldn't be in the room.
Oh, I know.
So, okay.
Oh, and then I'm not there. I'm not there. Now they want me there. Go get everything for him. No, make up your minds. I'm not doing nothing.
That's what I mean. So I think it's fine because we're,
Okay.
you know, we just need to get these assessments in and you're taking your data collection and they know it. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
I mean, there could be some days when you help him to log in and then he's going to sit there and then you walk away and then he's going to do his thing again. which we know. So,
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he's not going to participate. He's not.
No.
And it's not worth him getting frustrated and then hurting himself or punching the iPad or being destructive towards my property. That's not worth it to me. That's why I'm not having him log in right now.
okay. Yeah, so then you should just make sure you document that on your logs. That because
I will.
the last week, he had these behaviors once we logged in and I left. So this week, I'm not going to do that. And so that's a perfectly
Yeah.
good reason why you're not doing it now.
And no aid. No aid in the home as promised starting Monday. No aid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's another, let me just mention that to the parents tonight and that are going to listen back to this. So Angie was successful in getting an aid in the home, in person, a behavior aid from a private agency because her son is not able to access virtual schooling. So there's another example of how you can do this, parents. You can be successful in getting aids in person in the home, because there's another example of Angie doing that, one of my brigade members. So just want to mention that too, because I just want parents to know, it seems like it's a losing battle and it's too hard because they say no, but that's what they say. How many times did they say no to us, Angie, when now we got to the yes, right?
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, because we've kept
And it wasn't.
Go
And
ahead.
it wasn't until you stated law. You stated the law. And then they are like, oh my God, we need to do something.
Yep. So that's why it's important for you guys to know, how to write those letters and how to, cite the laws and what to say to make them be held accountable. Because you can, keep saying this is my child needs. They're not going to be afraid of that. Right? My son has shared aid, but he has regressed and I have logs. Can I advocate for one-on-one aid in his IEP? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can. So I don't know how you got the shared aid, but how you would get a one-on-one aid is you would request a SCIA assessment. It's SCIA, Special Circumstance Instructional Assistant, SCIA. And so you ask for a SCIA assessment, and then it's the same process. 15 days, you get the assessment plan, 60 days, they hold a meeting with the assessment and they determine if your child is eligible for a one-on-one aid. And you show all of your evidence showing that a shared aid isn't meeting his needs. And these are the reasons why. He's not accessing education. He's not accessing his services, his speech services or OT services or whatever services he has. And you show your data collection. You show your videos. That's how you do it. Okay. Okay, guys. Anybody else? You're welcome. Okay, guys, well, you're all doing great, I think, and I think we've made a lot of progress over the past 2 months. That is for sure. And so we just keep hanging in there. Yes?
Mallory, I have one quick question. So for when the FBA person comes to my house tomorrow to for her final assessment, so in order, like, what kind of should I tell her my input on, maybe he doesn't, he needs a FB what do you call it, ABA, not like a regular A, is more beneficial for him.
Can I come to your house?
The FBA is for the IE.
The FBA assessment by the private agency. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to ask you questions about, why did you ask for an IEE? What do you think your son needs? They're going to ask you questions about your son's behavior in the home, your son's behavior at school. You're going to answer a big, long questionnaire, the BASC,
Mm-hmm.
And so And so in that, you can even document. They're going to say, what do you think your son needs? And you're going to say, my son needs a behavioral aid. And these are the reasons why. Because,
Uh-huh.
because the teacher isn't teaching him, because he can't follow directions, because he doesn't talk, because they're not modifying his curriculum. Blah, on and on, because he has these behaviors, he throws tantrums, he might hurt himself, all of it. That's what you write, and that's what you tell them.
Yeah.
You can absolutely tell them, I want an ABA private aid, behavioral aid for my son. Tell them that. I tell them that all the time when I'm advocating for the parents, and I say, this is why we're hiring you. You know, this is what we want. You know, I hope that's what you're going to find for this child. And they always do. I mean, your child is eligible. All of you parents that are on this call tonight, your child is eligible for an ABA private aid. All of you are. So, because I know most of all of your kiddos, and they all are. So, yeah, absolutely. Say
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna tell her all that. Well, aside from what I already told her, I'm gonna add more stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Redora, do not tell her. Put it in a letter and email it. Don't tell. Put it in a letter. Put it in writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fedora, you don't do anything.
No
Well,
talking,
if you do it verbally, you always have to follow it up in writing. It's best to have it, you know, actually in your in that. Did you already fill out the questionnaires? Redora, did you fill out the questionnaires?
Yeah, she was well, it was like she asked us the question, like she called us and she asked us the question. She was documenting what we were saying.
I hate that when they do that.
But
What
then
agency do you have again?
VBA, behave.
Oh yeah, VBA. Well, that they should be good though, because they're the ones that you like, right, Angie? VBA.
Yeah, but I would still recommend, because like with my ERMS assessment, that's what this lady's doing. She's asking us a bunch of questions. I mean, she had us do a questionnaire and she's asking a bunch of questions, but I'm sending a concern letter.
Yeah.
Because I just don't trust
Okay.
that they're gonna write
so
everything.
This is what I recommend you guys do, okay? I don't like it. Wait, let me turn the light on.
Yeah, so then yeah, I guess I'll like ask for like the copy of what she wrote and then follow up with it.
No, you tell them when they start asking you questions and they're writing it down for you. So this is the problem with that, you guys. So when you say something and then the whoever's writing it down, they can transcribe it how they hear it, which could be different than the way you said it or the way you meant it. So that's why it's better to say, can you please just send me the questions and I can answer it myself. I'm more than happy to answer it myself, even though it takes some time. Then it's your true answers and it's not their interpretation of your answers, right? So, and you can do that with any assessment. So I always tell my parents that don't let them call you on the freaking phone and ask you the questions that you could absolutely write and answer yourself. So that's what you do. You just ask them, can you please send me the questionnaire? And I'd be more than happy to answer the questions myself. I feel much more comfortable doing that. Now, if it's just a conversation parent interview and they want to have a conversation with you, just a general conversation, okay, you can have that conversation. But when it comes to answering questionnaires, nope, you get to answer them in your own words.
But you know what, Valerie, in my experience, even talking to them, they twist and turn words. You know what I mean? So I learned how to know
the questions in the questionnaire, then you have your questionnaire. That was your answer.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, no, just whatever, just send me question. What questions? Oh, they always say, oh, I just want to talk to you. And then they start digging into things.
Then they use your answers in the questionnaire. I know they trick.
Yeah.
All the
They
parents
do.
always tell me, well, I didn't know that she was writing it down and she was filling out the questionnaire for me. That's what they do. They trick you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just got to be really careful and say, no, you know, I want to fill out the questionnaire myself. And after I fill out the questionnaire, if you want to talk to me, that's fine. But you don't talk to them until you fill out your questionnaire yourself. Because that's what they're doing. When they first initially talk to you, they're sitting there filling it out yourself. They shouldn't do that. They should give you that's like a violation of your parent rights, I think. Why are they writing it down for you?
I didn't even bother to, I mean, she wanted to talk to me after I sent her the questionnaire. And I told her whatever questions you have, you can send it, or whatever clarification you need, just send it to me via email. And she was very upset about that.
I'm sure.
She was like, well, it only takes 5 minutes. I go, well, I'm a single parent. I don't have 5 minutes. At midnight, when my daughter goes to sleep, I'll give you the 5 minutes to respond. But during the day, I don't have the time.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Barbara, because then there is no funny business. She sends you the questions. You can answer the questions in writing.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, I've been at it for now 10 years. So I've learned everything. There's no talking on the phone. There's no, or when you go to school, you try to drop off your kid, they try to talk to you. I'm like, oh, no, I don't have time. Please send me the email. I really have to go. I don't have time. I gotta go.
Well, also, now there's a difference in the district doing the assessment and calling you. See, because the IEE providers that I've worked with for 15 years, I have relationships with these people. I know them very well. I trust them, I trust them to not screw over parents. But nevertheless, you still, this what is the person that Redora used? What is it called, you guys?
The VBA?
VBA. I haven't worked with them. I don't know them. So, and hopefully, I mean, they sound like they can be a trusted agency, but I still, and hopefully they are, and they can be, but, it's just a caution, to be careful about those kinds of things. So, because an IE provider usually, but see, not with you guys. With you guys, the IE providers they want you to have, they're on the district side. So you have to be careful with making sure your IE provider is a person that is on your side that you can trust, right? And I think VBA is one of them. We'll see, because I'm just starting to work with them. So we'll find out, but it sounds like they are. Okay. Okay, guys. Anybody?
Thank you.
Valerie, yeah, it says on the site, right? There are two kind of memberships. Like there's level 1 and then there's level 2.
Yes. So level 2 gets everything level 1 gets, except level 2 gets a one-on-one consultation with me. That's the difference between the level 2 and why it's a higher price, because you get a consultation with me. And in that consultation is where I can actually look at your letters. I actually help you write the letters. And it's just more of a, you get more access to me as an advocate for you. Where level 1, you don't get that one-on-one consultation, but you get everything else that I talked about.
Okay, thank you so much.
Some parents start out with the level 1 because they just want to see what's this all about. I want to see if I like it. And then most parents, after they've been in level 1 for a little while, then they upgrade to level 2 after they feel comfortable. And I recommend parents do that, because then you can, start getting used to it and see how it is. And then eventually you'll want to have the consultations with me once you start doing the steps.
Yeah, the letters alone are invaluable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's how you're going to win, is writing the letters. Yeah. All right, you guys. Great call tonight, and I will see you guys on Monday for the Facebook Live. Take care, everybody. Ask me questions on the Facebook site if you have any questions before then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you, Barbara.